Welcome to Week 8 Waiver Wire, guys. Joseph Robert Camo here, going to give you guys a couple names here you may want to consider targeting here on Week 8 for the Waiver Wire to make sure you guys are in line to dominate Week 8. And I cannot believe, I keep saying this, I cannot believe it's Week 8 already. It's been absolutely crazy here. And again, I want to keep this episode really short, really sweet, straight to the point. I've been watching a couple other podcasts. I never watch any other fantasy football podcast at all. But man, they really drag it on. It's very hard to understand and follow, and they're very inaccurate with some of their stuff, right? So I saw some people fade Ernest Johnson last week on Waiver Wire. I'm like, dude, like, how could you fade him? Look how, and he finished what? Finished 13th overall in fantasy points, right? They were fading him. It's like, I wouldn't trust Ernest Johnson. He hasn't done much. Well, obviously, I never had the opportunity. So it's about keeping it simple. There was a strategy my teacher taught me in elementary school. It's called the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid, was the strategy. So that's what I do, and it's effective. So if you do 16 rounds, now, I'm not saying that that's simple, but what I'm saying is that I give you a practical strategy to help you guys, draft that optimal roster, then everything else becomes easier. Because if you build on a good foundation, everything else becomes easier. So I don't even need to look at the waiver wire this week personally, because my team has been set since like week 1. I picked up a couple guys. I picked up Cornell Patterson off the waiver wire this year. Who else did I pick up? I picked up Alan Lazard off the waiver wire, although I thought he was a good bench stash, just didn't have enough room for him. So you do need some players to pick up off the waiver wire to help you sometimes, right? Especially covering those bye weeks. But overall, you should have a good foundation at this point, right? So I'm going to give you guys a couple names here for you guys to consider. Before I do, guys, again, just remember, they sponsor this show. I really appreciate them. Manscaped.com. Go show them some love. Yeah, use promo code SHOWERLINE when you get something. They're going to show you some love by saving you 20%. Grab yourself a trimmer. You'll be very happy with your purchase. Manscaped.com. SHOWERLINE is the code. I had to plug them again, guys. I really like their product. So go get yourself some. Christmas is around the corner as well. Okay, a couple names here off the waiver wire. I'm just going to rip these through and I'll kind of explain a little bit about them. Kenneth Gainwell. We know Miles Sanders is out with an ankle injury. It's going to be week to week. He's most likely going to miss week 8. If that is the case, Kenneth Gainwell is the guy to get. Why is that? Well, he handled about 50% of week 7 snaps with 5 carries and 8 targets. So he went for 61 total yards and scored a touchdown, right? So around 14 points fantasy. So Kenneth Gainwell should be the guy with Miles Sanders out. Desperate times call for desperate measures. He is a guy you might want to consider. CJ Uzuma, whatever they want to call. I call him Uzuma. So CJ Uzuma is a guy you want to pick up if he's available in your leagues, right? Because he's probably picked up on a lot of teams. Him and Burrow, that connection seems to be going really, really well. Consider starting him or picking him up this week, okay? Brandon Bolden, consider grabbing him from New England, running back. He got some work. And again, I don't trust any, I really do not trust any running back from the Patriots. But if, like I said, desperate times call for desperate measures. He got some work. That could continue. Possibly going to be the new James White. We don't know. But what I like to see is targets, and that's what he got. Now, Brandon Bolden led the Patriots in targets, 7 targets, 6 catches, and 79 receiving yards, right? So, and a touchdown in receiving. He scored nearly 20 fantasy points, and he was a top 10 running back in week 7. Let me just double check something here. At the end of the day, guys, when you are getting a running back in week 8, lower your expectations. He was a top 5 running back this week, 19.9 points in PPR. So again, you should have your running backs, but if you need one, if he's available, Brandon Bolden is a consideration. Also, Khalil Herbert, he was last week's waiver wire pickup. He's been consistent. A lot of people may have faded him, but definitely pick him up. He's been consistent. Elijah Mitchell, Kenyon Drake, and Foster Moreau, tight end for Vegas. He stepped up with Waller being banged up. Either way, if you need a tight end and it's a deeper league, you may want to consider him even when Waller does come back, whenever he comes back. Quarterbacks, guys, a couple options here. Tua, Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, Tyrod Taylor, all good options here at quarterback. Tua taking advantage of a couple of good matchups 2 weeks in a row. And I'm looking at Tua's numbers here. And at the end of the day, man, it's not a guy I trust every single week, but he did have 26.54 points. He had 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Again, did they look the greatest as an offense? They were playing Atlanta. Not really. He did have a good matchup, but be cautious if you want to consider starting him. But if you're desperate for a 2-quarterback league and you need somebody, consider picking up Tua. Okay, guys? Who else is there here? Again, Kenyon Drake, like I said, I mentioned him. Josh Jacobs had that chest contusion, or he had the chest injury. So is that going to continue? Nobody knows. I think he's going to be week to week, but Kenyon Drake getting a lot of the work. And I hate that committee. I thought it would just been a Josh Jacobs show. They're giving Kenyon Drake work. Josh Jacobs is the goal line guy. Kenyon Drake to drive it in up the field sometimes. I hate watching this as a Josh Jacobs. He's my RB4 on some nights. He's RB4, Josh Jacobs, but it still bothers me that Kenyon Drake is getting that volume. Another running back maybe available on waiver wire is Samajay P Ryan. He played 48% of the snaps in week 7, 52 carries and a touchdown. He did, I think, have a breakout run. Very rare for Samajay P Ryan, Samaj Perine to have that. I'm not excited about Samaj P Ryan, but he is an option as well off the waiver wire, okay? Another honorable mention here, Trevor Lawrence, who's on bye week in week 7. But again, a lot of upside there. If you're desperate for a quarterback, he could still be available on your waiver wires. Now, a couple of names you may want to consider dropping after an embarrassing performance is Sam Darnold. Absolutely embarrassing. Just a bad game, okay? Tyler Boyd really has done nothing there. It's been the Jamar Chase show. Brandon Ayuk has done nothing. Amon-Ra St. Brown has done nothing. Robbie Anderson has done nothing. A couple of names you may want to consider letting go at this point in week 8. Make sure you guys are starting consistent players. Now, Robbie Anderson was a guy I thought would have been the primary target. I didn't invest high draft capital on him. I actually have him in one league, and I dropped him a week or two ago. But listen, Robbie Anderson was a guy who was wide receiver 1 last year. He thought that Darnold could actually be there, and Darnold seems to hate him. It happens, okay? Tyler Boyd, right? Years to wow us, we're not wowed. You got that one we anticipated. We saw that Jamar Chase is the young guy. He's the upside guy. That's the guy to grab. You don't get Tyler Boyd. Years to wow us, we're not wowed. He was never phenomenal. Mike Davis, another name you could drop. Another guy I told you to avoid. I told you to avoid Mike Davis because, again, he's never a true bona fide number 1 guy. Brandon Ayuk, another guy I warned you about. So, you win some, you lose some, but these guys were guys that were, guys that either avoided in the draft or were picked up a little bit later. I know a lot of people, the mainstream, were telling you to draft Mike Davis round 5, Brandon Ayuk a little earlier ahead of Deebo Samuel, which was ludicrous. But if you listen to the counselor and got 16 rounds, you should be good. And again, guys, it's week 8. You should know your team. You should know your starters. You should have a lot of depth going into the year with 16 rounds. And week 8 should be a breeze. But again, I had to give you a couple names to consider, and those were there for you guys. Like I said, Brandon Bolden, if you're desperate, Uzuma, Gainwell, Foster Moreau. Couple names there for you. All right, guys, make sure you guys do subscribe, leave a thumbs up if you're new to the channel. And I'm also creating the Joe Camo Show, link here below. Check it out for real sports and real talk. You definitely want to check that out. So I'm kind of straying away, adding something else to on top of fantasy football, okay? And in regards to the schedule here, guys, make sure you guys tune in. We do the waiver wire. We do a preview show here. We do a starts and sits show Friday. The preview show is on Thursday. The starts and sits. I shouldn't have said that. That should be a new show. Starts and shits. So that's better than starts and sits, because if you're sitting, you're probably playing pretty shitty, right? Starts and shits show. Like, it's hard to say. Starts and shits show. Anyway, make sure you guys do subscribe. And of course, guys, manscaped.com. Use promo code SHOWERLINE. I've got a bunch of these trimmers. And I personally like their underwear, guys. Manscaped.com, promo code SHOWERLINE. You're going to save yourself 20% here. And again, whatever your record is this year, guys, stick it out, because there's still a lot of time left. There still is a lot of time left in the fantasy football season. You got to go on a tear here with a bunch of wins. And that was a brutal bye week. So I'm imagining that, Robinson, Najee Harris, Thielen, Jefferson, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, they're all coming back this week. So I still survived the week. Again, I picked up Allen Lazard, Robert Tonyan carried me through. Kyle Pitts had a good week. Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Michael Pittman. I had a good week. Now, again, it's up to you guys to go on a tear now. I'm sure most of your players are back. Go out there, dominate week 8 and beyond. It's not too late, guys. Stick it out. Stay strong. And we're almost near the finish line. All right, guys, subscribe, thumbs up. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. Enjoy your day. We'll talk soon.